In the quiet village of Ravenwood, legends whispered of an ancient ritual that bound the living to a nightmarish realm beyond comprehension. The villagers, long steeped in superstition, spoke of it in hushed tones, the Tenebrous Convergence. It was said that every century, on the eve of the blood moon, the barrier between their world and a malevolent dimension grew perilously thin. The last time the convergence occurred, the village vanished from existence. Now, in the present day, only a single unassuming house remained on the outskirts of the forsaken land, where a recluse named Ethel lived. Ethel had spent her entire life in Ravenwood, dedicating herself to unraveling the ancient texts and grim artifacts that hinted at the convergence. She had grown frail and eccentric, her eyes hollowed from years of sleepless study. As the blood moon approached, she knew the time had come to confront the horror that lurked on the other side. On the night of the blood moon, Ethel prepared her home with intricate symbols and protective wards, her hands trembling as she worked. As darkness enveloped the land, an otherworldly chill crept through the air, and the moon's crimson light bled through the cracks of her home. The hour struck midnight, and the walls of Ethel's house began to tremble. She could hear a faint, haunting whisper that seemed to emanate from the very fabric of reality. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, coiling around her like a serpent. Ethel clutched an ancient tome, its pages cracked and yellowed with age. She chanted the incantations, desperately trying to fortify the barriers between worlds. But as she recited the final words, the whispers turned into guttural, raspy voices, like the combined screams of 1,000 tormented souls. The floorboards groaned under an unseen weight, and grotesque shadows began to seep through the walls. Ethel's heart raced as she saw the shadows morph into indistinct, writhing forms, their eyes glowing with a hellish light. They moved with an unnatural grace, their elongated limbs stretching and contorting in grotesque fashion. In the final moments, Ethel's own reflection twisted and warped in the mirrors, grinning malevolently as if mocking her futile struggle. The voices grew louder, their demands clearer, and the very air seemed to thicken with a suffocating dread. With one last desperate cry, Ethel completed the ritual, hoping against hope that it would seal the breach. The room was bathed in an agonizing scream as the shadows surged forward, engulfing her. The house shook violently, and then silence. When dawn broke, the house stood eerily still. Its windows were dark, and no sign of Ethel remained. The villagers, never daring to approach, found the place abandoned, the protective wards still intact, but the interior untouched. As the years passed, Ravenwood faded into obscurity, a forgotten footnote in history. Yet, the blood moon continued to rise, and the whispers of the Tenebrous Convergence lingered in the wind, a reminder that some horrors are bound not just by the limits of time and space, but by the very essence of fear itself. And so, the legend endures, warning that sometimes the darkest nightmares are not the ones we dream of, but those we unwittingly invite into our world.